Hello guys, the reason I'm making this video is because there's a false notion in treaty that the third factory given by Hanover is OP. Before I explain why that isn't the case, I will throw out a disclaimer. I'm not saying that Hanover is a good native, because natives should be analyzed the whole package. In case of Hanover, you get a large native army, a free shipment, drummers that not only buff your unit movement and attack speed. After you research the tech Acts of Union, you can also plant a flag that will spawn mercenary units and buff your unit damage in an area. And in water maps you can build a battleship. With all this stuff is a very good native. And then there is Victorian era tech, which many players think is the cherry on top of Hanover overpoweredness. So what is Victorian era tech? Victorian attack is a tech that allows your civilization to go straight to Imperial Age, and also give you a factory. And if your goal isn't to be a lamer with Napoleonic France, there is a problem. A 20k problem. Because this tech costs you 10k coin and 10k food, which can be further reduced by the XP that you generate. But only XP that counts to the discount is the XP from the units and the buildings you made. So if you're losing your units and buildings fast and have to remake them, this tech will be cheaper, ironically. But there's also a bug that sometimes resets and locks the cost of this tech to the original numbers, ignoring the XP discount. This tech is clearly geared to game modes where there's a lot of combat early, which means either supremacy games, deathmatch, or treaty with less than 20 minutes timer. The other downside of this tech is that if you use this tech to get to H5, you won't be able to choose a native leader, politician, federal state, or build a wonder. I decide to test out in the game to see how fast I can get this tech. Here I picked the British, because it's one of the best civilizations to get this tech earlier, since with most other civilizations you most likely will get the factory at minute 25 or further. Also, because you don't have to change or mess up your booming. I managed to get the factory in minute 22. But most ironic part is that at 40 minutes I only had minus 4464 resource difference, compared to no Hanover game. And at 6 minutes I had 4646 resources surplus, compared to no Hanover game. Now you say, you just prove yourself wrong and close this video. But the truth is I haven't. The surplus I got at 3060 is most likely from booming and the villager moving, and maybe 10,000 or so is from the extra factory. How do I know this? I will show you. Now, I've created a document where I compare and calculate how much each native economic technology will in theory buff your economy in treaty. It's still a work in progress. Look into Hanover economic technology, which is the factory. You can see the amount of time it takes for the factory to pay itself. A factory producing 7.5 resources per second produces 480 resources per minute. Divide that by what you paid up front, which in a treaty game at 25 minutes on average will be 8,500 food and coin, for a total of 7k. Means in a treaty 60 game you start having net positive income at the end of the treaty, before the timer ends. But in treaty 40 means you will start with less 16 to 22 minutes worth of resources. And the only way for you to reduce the time that takes for the factory to start to be a net positive in your economy is by reducing the initial cost. And as I explained earlier, you can only do that by either making units or making buildings. Now, to hammer my point, I compiled the eco upgrades from the natives from worst to best. And as you can see, the comparison between Hanover Third Factory and other native economic upgrades. Hanover Third Factory takes 4 times more to pay themselves than the second worst, and loses to all other native upgrades, even the 5% food from Aztec until the end of Treaty 60. Now, truth to be told, the longer the game lasts, the better is the third factory, as they are among the highest economic generators or resource to your economy. So in conclusion, Victoria is an OP in Treaty 60, and for sure not in Treaty 40, if you compare it with some other native economic upgrades. In Treaty 60 you should research as soon as you can, and if necessary, ask your teammates for resources to research it sooner. In Treaty 40, it's better to send after some minutes of combat to lower these costs. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe. See you in next video.